welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I hope you're all having a lovely Thursday. She's all done up. I'm going to watch Ivo Graham tonight, which I'm quite looking forward to. So I've got blue eyeshadow on. I've also got this dress on that David's mum got me for my birthday, or no, Christmas, many years ago, and I love it. It really reminds me of sort of the Spice Girls. I think because this little thing here looks like the Spice World album. That's why it reminds me of the Spice Girls. Anyway, the thing is that I've pulled off so many of these buttons over the years. My mum has kindly just sewn them all back on for me, and I had to buy a few replacement buttons as well. So rather than, I haven't even told you what the video is today. The video today is my first line battle, where I go through my bookshelves, starting in red, pick a red book, an orange book, a yellow book, and I read the first lines of each book and battle them against each other. And then whichever has the best first line goes on my TBR for the next day, next month. I've done this all the way through the year. I've really enjoyed doing it. Last month I read The Little Princess, which I'd selected this way. Really enjoyed it. And it's good. It means I'm reading some of the books off my shelves. I'm pleased about it. If I do it every year, every month, that means I've read 12 books off my shelf. That's not true, because I probably won't do it in December because of Christmas. I'm going to have read 10 books off my shelf because I didn't read one in January because I've started it in January. And I'm pleased with that. It means I'm getting to some of the books that I don't always look at, and I'm looking at them in a first line way, not in a blurb way. Anyway, what I normally do is I'm normally sort of, well, before we moved the sofa here, I was very sort of like upwardly mobile, sort of pulling them off my shelves and reading them. And last month was the first month that we did it while we were sat here, which is a lovely place to sit and read. But I don't want to pull all these buttons off my dress up and down in. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll take a moment to pick the 5th, because we're going in, because this is May, the 5th red book, orange book, yellow book, green book, blue book, purple book, pink book, white book, grey book, black book. And then I will battle them against each other, just sat here enjoying myself. So one moment while I do that, please. Oh, the rules are, it can't be in a series, so it has to be, or I have to have read up to that point in the series, and it can't be a reread. I think those are the only rules. It can't be in a series, it can't be like the second or third book in a series, and it can't be a reread. But let's go and get them now. So start with red. Done. You may have to see me doing that. Sometimes, because I put books back on my shelves in different orders, like just wherever they fit basically, I have to count and check that that book hasn't already appeared in one of these first line battles, because that's another line, that's another rule that I forgot to mention. I won't be battling them for the second time. They only get one chance at the battle until next year, maybe, and then we'll start rebattling again. Right, let's start with the first book, which is a red book. It's got a red spine, not a red front cover. Belladonna by Anbara Salam, sent to me by the publisher, published a while ago, 2020. Part 1, 1956, Connecticut, June. It was Isabella who invented the game, Dead Nun. That's a really good first line. It was Isabella who invented the game, Dead Nun. Well, I mean, it's winning anyway because it's the first book, but yeah, that is winning. It was Isabella who invented the game, Dead Nun. Great first line. Then we've got Factfulness by Hans Rosling, with Ola Rosling and Anna Rosling-Runland. This has been quite the family effort. This is non-fiction, and non-fiction always struggles a bit with the first line. How punchy can you get a first line in non-fiction? I've actually noticed I've got two more non-fictions in here. Right, okay, so there's an author's note, but I've avoided that because they're never going to have a chance with an author's note. So, introduction. Why I love the circus. I love the circus. I mean, it's not doing anything, is it? Why I love the circus. I love the circus. Isabella's game of Dead Nun. That's still winning. Then we're on to another yellow book, Betraying Big Brother, The Feminist Awakening in China by Lita Hong Fincher. Again, another non-fiction, and like I said, non-fiction doesn't always... Although, non-fiction book from last month, it was a non-fiction book that won last month. Introduction. The recording begins with the bell-like soprano voice of a young woman singing a cappella in Chinese. That is a good first line. The recording begins with the bell-like soprano voice of a young woman singing a cappella in Chinese. But I do think I still am intrigued by the game of Dead Nun. It was Isabella who invented the game Dead Nun. Yeah, I think Dead Nun's still winning. Then we've got the Green Book. I mean, this is often, if I don't know where to house these books on my shelf, I'll say to David, what colour's that? And David told me that was green, because that could also be blue, but I put it on the green shelves. This is Creatures of Passage by Moriwa Yadije, which was longlisted for the Women's Prize, maybe last year. And I actually was going to get rid of this book, and then I saw it appear on a few people's best books of last year, and I hung on to it. It starts with a map, but we're not here for the map, we're here for the first line. Oh, it's a big, long first line. Ferryman. The goddess Nephis ferried lost souls through the dark currents of the great mystery, from one isle of existence to another and out to the far reaches of fate, all the while filled with a profound sadness for her brother, the murdered god Osiris, whose power was taken by dividing him into pieces. Nephis Kimwell was not a saviour of souls. That hasn't done all that much for me, and it's because I've been rethinking my relationship recently with myth retellings. And there's a lot of, and I haven't always loved them, and I've sort of said, stop forcing yourself through them. So that's the thought at the forefront of my mind. So no, Isabella's game of Dead Nun, that's still winning. Recent, and as in literally only just bought this as well. Well, bought it secondhand from the, well, yeah, I did buy it. I bought it secondhand in a charity shop. This is The Marriage Game by Alison Weir. I've really started saying Alison Weir's name different. I've started saying Veer, but I think it is Weir. And this is a fiction book about Elizabeth I. You'll know that I've very much enjoyed the Six Tudor Queens series written by Alison Weir, and it would be nice to read another one by her. But let's see if the front line's any better than Isabella in her Dead Nun game. 1558. She had put on the black mourning gown. Nothing about that's grabbing me. Keisha the Sket by Jade L.B. I'm very excited about this, and I would like to read this at some point. Again, I'm going to avoid the author's note, because no one's winning a first line battle with an author's note. This, from what I remember, was fiction written online, and everyone used to tune into this blog to read about Keisha the Sket, and it has now been published as a book. I thought it was going to be on the women's long list last year, but it didn't make it. But yeah, here we go. So I think it's set in like lots of different, like it's about the blog entries that went online that were fiction, and then it has like explanatory bits before and after those entries. So it sounds to me, that looking at this, it looks like this is one of the explanatory bits. Is Keisha the Sket about you? Reconciling me vis-a-vis Keisha and deconstructing my own misogynoir. As far back as I can remember, my favourite and yet most destructive pastime was creating worlds and narratives from the depths of my imagination. Is Keisha the Sket about you? Reconciling me vis-a-vis Keisha and deconstructing my own misogynoir. Can't say that word. As far back as I can remember, my favourite and yet most destructive pastime was creating worlds and narratives from the depths of my imagination. Yet, do you know what? I'm still very interested in Isabella and her game of Dead Nun. I wonder if that's going to be beaten. We've got 4 more entries here, but yeah, I can't stop thinking about it. I want to know more about Dead Nun. It was Isabella who invented the game Dead Nun. Next up, we've got an essay collection called My Time Among the Whites, Notes from an Unfinished Education by Janine Capo-Crusay. And I bought this. It's got, are these called, is this what deckled edges are? Where they don't all line up? Collection of collection of essays, and I believe the first one is about Disneyland. No, I don't think there is one in here about Disneyland, but I remember Mercedes reading this, and yeah, it's an essay collection, My Time Among the Whites, and I'm looking forward to finding out more about it. So the first chapter is in the first part is called Early Encounters. And then we've got the first, oh goodness me. I don't know if we've had an essay collection yet in these first line battles. What we pack. It was a simple question, but we couldn't find the answer in any of the paperwork the college had sent. How long was my family supposed to stay for first year student orientation? This may seem easy enough to an answer now, but this was 1999 and Google wasn't yet a verb. and we were a low-income family, according to my new school, without regular internet access. I am interested in that. It was a simple question, but we couldn't find the answer in any of the paperwork the college had sent. How long was my family supposed to stay for first-year student orientation? This may seem easy enough to answer now, but this was 1999 and Google wasn't yet a verb, and we were a low-income family, according to my new school, without regular internet access. I'm intrigued by that. I'm very intrigued by it. Am I as intrigued as the game Dead Nun? Oh, it's tough. Do you know what? I think it does it. I think after literally moments ago saying I don't think Dead Nun will be usurped, it's been usurped. So My Time Among the Whites by Janine Capo-Cruce is currently in the lead with a question, how long should her family stay for student orientation? It's 1999, Google doesn't exist yet. Next up, we've got another non-fiction book. This is Black Tudors, The Untold Story by Miranda Kaufman. I bought this for when I was doing independent bookshop week, cozy reading night. I bought this for that last year in the summer, in June, never got around to reading it. So, and you know, I mean, we've already seen a Tudors book appear. You know how much I enjoy a Tudors book. Here we go. Again, as I said, we have issues with non-fiction books and their first lines aren't always grippy. Introduction. In April 1645, Sir John Winter burnt his home to the ground rather than see it fall into parliamentary hands. Nah, that's not doing it compared to My Time Among the Whites. Then we've got The Penelopiad by Margaret Atwood. The myth, oh God, I've just said I'm not into, this must have escaped the coal. The myth of Penelope and Odysseus. Now, I remember buying this from Armchair Books when I was visiting Jean in Edinburgh in the early days of BookTube. But I have just said I'm not getting on all that well with Greek myths and retellings, so I thought I'd got rid of all of them. If this doesn't win now, I think we will get rid of it. But this has been on my bookshelves for ages. So this is a retelling of Penelope and Odysseus. 1. A low art. Now that I'm dead, I know everything. No. Often these myths and retellings are told from someone who's dead, and it's not particularly a point of view I love to hear from, so I am going to get rid of that as well. So another one off my shelves. Right, then we've got the last one, which is The Black Spine, Glasstown Wars by Celia Rees. I remember literally nothing about this. Let's see what the let's see what the first line is to see if it wins. Oh, I'm already into it because it's got a little book and some magic and a quill. Chapter 1, A Conjuring. Nothing is straightforward. No, it's not enough. It's not enough to get me. It's not enough to get me. So, out of all of the books, the winning first line was My Time Among the Whites by Janine Capo-Cruce, Notes from an Unfinished Education. As a prize, it goes on my TBR for next month, for the month of June. But we now get to read the first and the second lines together to just delve a little bit further into it. So here we go. What we pack. It was a simple question, but we couldn't find the answer in any of the paperwork the college had sent. How long was my family supposed to stay for first-year student orientation? This may seem easy enough an answer now, but this was 1999 and Google wasn't yet a verb, and we were a low-income family, according to my new school, without regular internet access. I was the first in my family to go to college, which made me a first-generation college student, as well as a first-generation American, because my parents were born in Cuba. I look forward to reading this in June. Let me know which of these first lines you maybe would have let win. Let me know if you've read any of these books that I've mentioned below, and I will see you in my next BookTube video. I'll see you for the reading vlog on Sunday. See you then. Bye.